Alright folks, after a bit of a break, you're back for episode 14 here in the challenge series. And in this episode we have the Sunday Cup Plus. People made a bit of a joke about the acronym SCP, so we're just putting the plus symbol there, because you can go stuff yourself. It is a championship not unlike the Dream Car Championship, except instead of using the fastest cars in the series right now, we're using the 600 cars, the slowest ones. And, yeah, let's just go into the races. These should be shorter races, though, because there's fewer laps run on shorter courses to compensate for the fact these cars are so much slower. Race 1 is underway, and it's the definition of a sprint race. 8 laps of the Suzuka East course. Nice engine. I forgot to play for the first second. As the POV car is Natsuki Narashi, who just sends it down the inside of multiple vehicles alongside her actual friend, so that's kind of ironic positioning. Nearly gets turned by JJ West going into sort of the S's. I'm sure Natsuki is more than familiar with drifting these S's, but actually racing them, probably not so knowledgeable. As it's a gridlock ahead. 3 wide on the exit, that doesn't usually get anybody anywhere. That sounds weird, right? Like, that doesn't sound right. One lap in, Natsuki's already made her way through more than half of the field. It's an 8-lap race, so it'll be just shy of about 6-7 minutes. It'll be around 7, I would say. She forces her way through on the Polo driver. The engine pitch thing is really messing with me. I can't really explain. I'm just gonna go back to this camera, because here the bug doesn't exist. Very late apex through 2, but it's given her a huge run on Mulsanne. This is more of a circuit that'll favor the lightweight cars, so I'm kind of surprised that Steve Lommel is this high up the grid. That's a power vehicle that's more built for straightaways, and the Trek has one. But I figured it would suffer through the S's, which is, you know, pretty much every corner on the circuit. It's just S's. But I guess not. Fastest lap by a big margin there. Speaking of power car, you've kind of got like the balance. We have the power car, we have the balanced, and then we have the handling car. And then we have a second handling car entering the picture here. You can see the difference in handling. Ivan is just struggling to get the car around the turns. Natsuki's struggling to drive around him because of how badly he's making the turns. And I have to bring into question as Natsuki not only takes second place, but will probably be ahead of Mendez well before the passing, or well before the braking. I have to kind of wonder how much of Natsuki's drifting prowess comes into play here, being that she drifts in this car, and has drifted here on multiple occasions. How much of your expertise in that field can work here? Or does it even work against her? It doesn't look like it works against her, because she's, well, in the lead and pulling ahead. A bit overzealous there. And Carson made a bit of a mistake exiting that corner. Sudakov takes full advantage of this mistake, and he's put himself in third. There's the turbo flutter. If there's any bit of driving that I feel like knowing how to drift does help, it's probably smoothness. Smoothness and control of the vehicle, which... well, I mean, control isn't necessary if you are smooth in a race car, so... and the lap time there will show that Natsuki has definitely found the smooth driving. Sudakov, with a huge run of the last turn, makes a play for P2, and he grabs another spot. Meanwhile, a bit further back, Rise is falling back quickly. In just a matter of 2 laps, she's gone from what I believe was 4th place, or 5th place, down to 8th. Sen doing a bit of exploration of the A110's rally history rather than its racing. All the drivers are pretty evenly matched here. Although there is a pretty obvious separation between Hernandez and Koizumi. So there's basically this field split into 2 halves, the top 10 and the bottom 10. Ivan's getting closer to Natsuki, but I think it's a little bit too late. If this were a 10-lap race, I think Natsuki would be under some pressure. However, all Natsuki has to do to take the victory now is just make one more turn. And that she has done. Out of the last turn, Natsuki will win the opening round of Sunday Cup Plus. Sudakov, Mendez, and Carson, top 4. My dad managed to catch up to 4th place. Only the top 10 were given enough time to finish. And I shall do the points in between and report back for the next race. We have a delayed recording start. The 3 lights played, and we are away from Lake Maggiore, the East Circuit. 4-lap race, so half the number of laps. And the player vehicle is Ivan Sudakov in his 300 SEL. He came up just short last time out of Suzuka. Suzuka East, ironically. From the East. Hang on. Betting, right? Wrong game. He's already up a few spots just through the first sector alone. Currently boxed in amongst hot hatches. Bit of argy-bargy on Rise. He's up to 11th already. make that 10th in a moment. Alice may try and shoot around the outside, but the inside lane is just prevailing there. I've been messaged, the amount of top speed this 300 SEL carries is insane, and that alone just gained him 2 places down the main straightaway. On Mulsanne and Sayori. Actually, no, 3, I didn't even know Scott Weber was there. He's going to try and take the outside of Natsuki, and he has done what he couldn't do at Suzuka, pass her. Natsuki tried to clap back, but Ivan effectively parked that very large bus. Admittedly, of the cars in this grid, this one is the most bus-like, let's be fair. Drag Tonio with ease down the inside of Fernandez. Fernandez about gets into Ivan at the apex. And now suddenly, Ivan finds himself in 4th. Not far from the top 3 either. He's made incredibly swift progress, it must be said. He finds himself a little blocked by my dad, cutting out of the little S's there. Send it into the last turn. Should be able to out-accelerate that Firebird, and he will. And the next 2 cars, he should be able to just eat alive. He gets a little bit blocked out by Nico. Tries the outside of Hanamura, does not convert. And Nico just brushes Ivan aside. Ivan doesn't like that and dumps Nico off the track. I'm gonna get a brief replay of that. Well, Ivan cuts down on her a little bit. And then Ivan doesn't like being run into, despite the fact that he didn't exactly give her a ton of space. Probably didn't expect her to be there, in all fairness. I think the collision itself was moderate and like mild enough to where you kind of like be like, oh, whoops. So I don't think Nico had any problem with that. I didn't really. He was basically just saying, hey, give me a lane, and Ivan's like, no, I won't do that. So we got very ugly fast here in Sunday Cup Plus. Now Ivan chases down the leader. Here's the thing, the 300 SEL is a car you don't want to mess with because it weighs so much. But Nico is a person you don't want to mess with. There are quite a few people who could probably tell you that. One of which shall not be named, but you probably know who exactly I'm talking about. Nico may pick lightweight cars, but she likes to punch above her weight class if she has to. Nico did manage to remain in P8, recovered quick enough to not lose all of her positions. But she's got a brief window of time to make up maybe 1 or 2 of them on the 2 cars up ahead, as they already are about. It looks like they're already about to be fighting each other for good measure. You know, I figured the Firebird would have the top speed advantage over the Sylvia. No, but it does have the braking advantage, or so my dad believes. He sends it on the Sylvia driver, but doesn't get any results. DS13 with more than enough handling to remain on the outside and survive. Nico's already caught Mulsanne in the A110. Power figures seem relatively similar, so Nico's not going to have a chance into this corner. We have this thing again where everyone's kind of spread out, not too much, but just enough to where it seems like everybody's just kind of in their natural order. As much as it looks like it should be, nothing's gonna change. And so it will be Ivan Sodokov who will take the win at Lake Maggiore. Maybe slightly controversially, but you know, you take it where you can get it. It is almost a drag race to the line, but the S13 has more power than it seems like it should. Nico also tried out dragging the Alpine to the line, but to no avail. And everyone beyond 11th doesn't quite cross the line. So, we'll move on now to race 3. I wish I could remember what track that was, otherwise I would tell you. We're green for the third race of the episode, here now from Laguna Seca. Perhaps an all too familiar sight here in the Challenge Series. God knows how many times we've raced here, and God knows how many more times we'll race here. As the camera's on Kazuma Hanamura in his fake Daytona USA car. And he makes up 10 places in one corner. Okay then. Well, not quite 10. Actually, no, 10. Because he got on the outside of Mulsanne. And some more places. Kazuma's going for the speed run, apparently. He heard the guy from Daytona say, let's go away, and he took that to heart. Embarrasses Nico to that little kink corner there. And up to the corkscrew. I remember the last time we got to this corner, it resulted in a near murder. Not even on-track murder, literal murder. But, you know, we have reasonable human beings on the racetrack right now, so there's not even a collision. Absolute just huge momentum shift. Credited to Hanamura. Bit shaky out of the corner, but ahead of the Suzuki driver. Next target is my dad. Already up 14 places, and we're only through one lap. And it's not like Laguna Seca's a long lap either. Nothing doing at the moment. Sayori's starting to develop a decent lead over second, which is pretty rare. She hasn't really shown much brilliance so far in the Challenge Series, but for right now, she looks kind of fast. Kotori is also probably helping that. It looks like she's probably holding up Alice at the moment. And Hanamura down the inside of the Firebird. And that should be done. Actually gets enough exit speed to get ahead of Rise as well. And even now drags Kotori. So basically 3 cars in the span of 1 turn. And then just shoots on the outside of Alice Carson for good measure. My god. Is this car legal? Did he pass the inspection tests? Because this just doesn't seem right. And yes, there are inspection tests. Never been brought up because nobody's failed them yet. And we're through 13 and a half episodes. Tries to shoot the outside of the Mini Cooper, but... actually, no, but. It just works. It just works for Hanamura. And with that, he is the leader, and we've only completed half of the race. Carson, free from Kotori, is able to now try and catch the Mini Cooper herself, and she does a lot of that catching, just braking for T1. My dad is just surrounded by hot hatches. There's a huge run on Kotori, but elects to just not pass. And then when he does think about it, he's just like way out of line. Should have just moved over. Alice is definitely there on Sayori now. Gives her a slight nudge into the corkscrew. My dad attempts the outside of Kotori, but Kotori just fiendishly blocks. Makes the world's widest Alfa Romeo. Into turn 1 for the last time. Alice probably could have passed, but chose to not do so. She might still try anyway. She's down the inside. And a bit slidey, but ahead of the Mini Cooper, so we do have a pass. My dad does not make a pass on the Alfa Romeo. Oh gosh, these two. You think they remember what happened in the last race? Silly question. If Ivan's lucky, Nico doesn't care, even if she does remember. And Dad's indifference means he's passed up another solid passing chance. And for a second, I thought he was about to get passed by Mendez for his troubles. You can't sit here forever, or else there are other people in the race. Other people that might actually try and pass him. Doesn't give one last peek on the outside of the corkscrew, but again, Kotori just brakes aggressively. Well, this has just been utter dominion from the S13 driver. Kazuma Hanamura is going to take the W at Laguna Seca. Pretty convincingly, no less. Alice Carson and Sayori Kuchikawa finish off the podium. Looks like Nico got ahead of Rise in the closing moments of the race. And the bottom part of the field is about what I would expect. It's been the few. No one's really finished in the same places, but they've finished in the same area of the field in most races. My dad's usually been near the top 5 in every race. I know Lynette and Scott Weber have been in the upper mid part of the field in most races. And I know that these bottom 4 have been in the bottom 5 of every race so far. So there are some patterns. They're not definitive patterns, but there are just certain things that you just kind of notice of like, this keeps happening. And you want to do race 4. And at the start of which I will go over the point standings as they sit after 3. It is early morning here ahead of race 4 at Tsukuba Circuit. You can barely see the sunrise way on the horizon there. It's probably about like 4:30 a.m. And before we begin, quick run down the point standings. Despite a mediocre run at Laguna Seca, Ivan Sodokov is the points leader at 51. My dad second at 50, with no result worse than 5th so far. Kazuma Hanamura third at 48, Alex Carson 46, Narashi 43, Yazawa 41, tied with Mendez, Scott Weber with 37, Lynette Mulsanne at 36, Rise and Sayori, same last name, not related, only 1 point apart, 35 and 34 respectively. Hernandez at 33, Haneo at 32, Kotori at 31, Dedrick at 21, JJ West at 18, Shoji at 13, Andreas Vitalis at 11, Isabella Flynn at 5, and Sebastian Sham with 4. Still 2 races to go. Still obviously a lot of time for it to change. Although hilariously at this point, there's already 3 people that mathematically cannot win the championship. Vitalis, Flynn, and Sham, even if they won both of the next 2 races, still wouldn't be able to score more points than Ivan. Because they're more than 38 points down on him. It's the most he can make up on somebody in a race is 19, so... Because Ivan will always score 1 point, even for finishing last. Heck, even if he DNF'd, he would still score that point. Anyway, on into race 4 here at Tsukuba. Green from race 4. It is incredibly dark. And it's a unique grid start here, because the front straightaway is not long enough for 20 cars, so a lot of the field started in the middle of the last turn, including my dad being the character-focused car here as he starts last. Passing at Tsukuba is infamously difficult, and it's also only a 5-lap race. It's more laps than we had in the last 2 races, but the lap here isn't very long at all. This race will probably not be much more than 5 minutes. Only up 2 places so far, certainly a far cry from the 9 places that were made up by this point in the previous race, although a bit of argy-bargy puts the Firebird driver up 3 more into the last of the hairpins here at Tsukuba. It's already a battle for the lead. I noticed on the leaderboard changing around. Rise is just helpless against Natsuki and Ivan. Mendez sending it on Sham. Starting grid is either to try and have some mercy on some of the cars struggling for points, but they're obviously struggling for a reason. They don't have a whole lot of speed, and they're being swallowed whole. Vitalis is also kind of in the same mix, and he's also lost a lot of places. My dad's progress heavily restricted by these 2 having their ongoing battle for the entirety of Sector 2. Eventually Hanamura is the loser and Dad sends it on the pair of them. He's second in points, only 1 off of Ivan, who's currently about to take the lead away from Natsuki into the final turn. So, Dad needs to get it into high gear, and he can't spend too long behind things like that, or this. It's not so much that passing is difficult at Tsukuba. It's actually pretty easy to pass a single person, but negotiating traffic, effectively, is what this is, and that's not easy. This is not a wide circuit by any stretch. Nico just blocks off Mendez. Dad takes full advantage, ahead into 4th place. Nico sends it there, but Dad is able to keep the car straight enough, despite the sudden bump. The difference between when Nico did that to my dad versus Ivan is Ivan cleaned her out for it. Dad just drove ahead like a normal person would. 2 laps to go. Only in P3, although the targets are in sight, running out of time already. And the sun is beginning to get a little bit brighter, but it's still not that much. It's still both basically going off of headlights here. It's also cloudy, so the sun won't even do much anyway. You can see in the driver's body language, this Firebird is being pushed maybe a little bit beyond its limits, let alone to them. A good run on the 8.6. And down the inside, that's as simple as they get, really. 1 lap, and about a 1.5 seconds difference between him and the SEL in the lead. If Dad can make the pass in the next 60 seconds, the points battle will be tied between him and Ivan. Gotten close. He's gonna have 2 more chances. The next hairpin and the last turn. This hairpin would be easier. Oh, he's just gonna send it. And he's got it. Second to last corner, Dad pulls off the surprise. Defends into the last corner as well for good measure. And with that last second move, it's my father who's going to come around the last turn, and he will take the victory at this sprint race to end all sprint races at Tsukuba Circuit, with Ivan and Natsuki finishing off the podium, 2 of the other race winners in this episode. So clearly we have the big players settled, or determined right out as we go into the final round, which I remember is going to be the first appearance in the series of Willow Springs. So that'll be interesting. I'm not a big fan of the track, so I'm glad I don't have to race it. And we'll just head right there now. We have arrived for the final race of the episode. It is 5 laps here at Willow Springs. The sunset may get in the driver's eyes. Can't see it now, it's behind the camera. And a quick overview of the point standings before heading into the green flag. And indeed, it is a literal tie between the drivers on the front row. You cannot make this up. Ivan Sodokov and Steve Lummel are tied at 70 points. For reference, the most you could get in 4 races is 80. So, immense standards of driving coming from these 2 in this championship. They've clearly had total control. Natsuki Narashi, who's nowhere near the front row at all, 3rd in points at 61. Hypothetically still a chance, but honestly with the 2 points leaders starting on the front row, not much. Hanamura 4th at 58 points. Nico 5th with 57 points. She's also the driver of focus in this race, as she's starting last. Mendez 5th at 56. Numbers 6th at 56. Alice Carson at 55. Rise at 52. Milsan at 47. Kotori at 44. Scott Weber 42. Sayori 41. Haneo at 38. Pablo Hernandez 35. JJ West down at 26. Schwartz 25. Vitalis 23 and Sham 18. They had decent runs at Tsukuba. It helped a lot by the starting grid, no less, or no doubt. Shoji at 16 and Isabella Flynn with a pitiful 6 points. But the starting grid's trying to give her a little bit of a chance to at least get to the double digits, considering she's starting P4. Without further ado, the lights are green, not that you can see them on the screen. And I don't know, do I put the focus on Nico Or do I keep the camera on the battle for the lead? Well, Mendez tried to be a part of it for a second, but Dad held station in second place. The two unrelated Kujikawas running fourth and fifth. Isabella already down 2 places, and we've only done 2 turns. Wow, this car's loud. I can't get down. There we go. Those two are too wide. I just kept toggling between Haneo and Pablo instead of getting the camera on the 2000 GT. A bit of gridlock here. Drivers just trying to figure out how to get around the circuit first before they do much. A bit of contact between Nico and Haneo. That's a bit odd. You know, those two are like friends and stuff like that. I think they'd be racing each other cautiously, especially knowing that they aren't really near each other in the points table. It just sweeps around multiple cars, including Kotori. Already up into 9th at the end of the first lap of the track. Maybe Nico got some practice in or something. Or maybe she's just that intuitive. It's hard to really be sure. Ivan leads the first lap. With where Natsuki and Hanamura are, they aren't going to be really pressured by those two in the point standings, so they're just kind of... They're not pressured by anything. Mendez has fallen off of them. Yeah, so the dominance of these two drivers here in Sunday Cup Plus continues to rear its head as they've already pulled away from the lead to it. Almost seems like my dad's just trying to push Ivan away from 3rd place. Kind of the idea, you know, let's get far enough ahead of the other guys, and then once we are safe enough to confirm the 1-2, then we will have our glorious combat. Oh, that camera is interesting. Helicam! There's a helicopter here? I haven't heard it. Oh, jeez. I think Nico tried to send it on the inside of Sayori, who didn't slide up as Nico had projected. Getting up to Mendez. Lap 2 is completed. Ivan's still leading. The superior horsepower of the SEL versus the superior cornering of the Firebird. As weird as that is to say, that the Firebird has better cornering. But then there's the 2000 GT, which is even better at the cornering. That's basically what it is. Ivan's got enough power to keep him ahead. Dad's got enough cornering to stick with the Mercedes through the corner. But that'll make the overtake hard to stick. Even if Dad does get the move done, Ivan might just take it back on the front straightaway. Or the back straightaway, which, mind you, isn't totally straight. But it's straight enough to have more power than somebody in past them. But there are potential plans to separate from the field and then engage. Kinda a little bit soiled now as Nico Yazawa has entered the frame. Outdrags the Pontiac with relative ease. And she's gonna look for the lead here, heading into the last turn. Oh, that's for Lago Maggiore. Thanks, camera. We need to see that. Yep, just ships him off into the sand. And that might be a DNF for him. I have to look on the map. Yeah, it is. He can't get his car out of the sand. So, Nico's fiery rage built up from Lago Maggiore has pretty much just settled the championship. I doubt that's how my dad wants to win it. That's not how most people want to win it in motorsports, but the choice has kind of been made for him. He will succeed. It is inevitable. Ominous positivity. Now they will have the battle. Nico and my dad will have the battle for the win. Head through the middle sector of Willow Springs. I don't like that camera much. That's not terribly helpful either. That's barely even looking at them. They're literally holding dead even through the flat right. Dad trying to keep it on the outside, but he is powerless too. And so at the end of lap 4, Nico is the new leader. Having exacted her revenge, she's now going to try and make up as many positions in the point standings as possible. You know, obviously you still want to win the race, even if you can't win the championship, because the person who's leading the points is about to finish second. But Nico can still gain places on, say, Natsuki and Kazuma here, if she finishes well, which, I mean, she's winning the race. I think you'd probably call that finishing well, wouldn't you? And Natsuki and Kazuma are just kind of sharing this middle part of the field. That's not gonna gain them a darn thing. And Mendez finds himself under pressure from the Kujikawas. It'd just be so much easier if they were related, but no, they're not. And they'll get ticked off at you if you claim that they are, or assume that they are. I don't know why. They don't have any kind of beef that I can tell. They just don't like being confused for one another. And it's through the last turn. She is vengeance, she is the knight, and she is the winner at the final race of the Sunday Cup Plus. However, that doesn't change the champion, as that will still go to my dad with 89 out of 100 possible points scored for the Firebird driver. Pretty dominant performance from him, even with the Sodakov incident aside. Mendez finishes the podium, finishing exactly where he started. The Kujikawa's 4-5. And it is a crippling DNF for Sodakov down here in last after running nearly perfect championship and having the lead before that. So do a quick calculation of points. We'll go over the results and cap off the episode. Alright, the point standings have been calculated, and obviously we've established Steve Hummel, aka my dad, is the champion at 89 points. 12 ahead of second in points. He ends up being Nico after all this, with 77. Third, Mendez at 74. He had a pretty quiet championship. He wasn't really pointed out much, but he did have 3 pretty good runs. Same mostly applies to Natsuki Narashi, 4th at 73. Only poor race being race 3. Same with Mendez, only bad race being race 2. Ivan, with the drastic disappointment and very not pleasant atmosphere surrounding him at the end of the race, only ends up with 71 points when he could easily have won this championship. I guess that's why you don't burn your bridges. You wreck somebody in race 2. You've got a lot more, you got a little more weight on your shoulders when you're running for the championship, and you've ticked off somebody who's 5th in points. Hanamura and Carson tied for 6th at 69. Nice. Followed by Rise at 68, Lynette Mulsen at 62, Sayori at 58, Kotori and Scott Weber tied with 50 for 11th. Hanyo 45, Hernandez 44, Vitalis 33, Schwartz 30, JJ West 29, a tie for 18th at 20 between Sham and Hakure, and Isabella managed to at least get into the double digits and have a relatively respectable 19 points after the final race here at Willow Springs, where she got 13 points. I think that's like 8th. Yeah, 8th. So that'll wrap things up for Sunday Cup Plus. Next episode will, in similar tune, be Clubman Cup Plus with the 640 category cars. Till then, farewell.